All right, don't reveal him yet. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. How I'm I think if I scoot, I'm so confused. Oh, yeah, that was right. Um, I don't know why I'm so confused. It's not all that different. Um, although I'm never looking at this part of it, and I think it's just like totally throwing me off. I feel like I should be able to hear everyone. Of course, I can never hear anyone on this. Hey, everybody! It is Wednesday evening. It's the fireside chat because it's 8 o'clock on Wednesday evening. Actually, a few minutes after 8 o'clock on Wednesday evening, and you no doubt know that. If you're with us, please comment. Let us know that you are with us. Also, take a quick moment to share the feed with your friends, whether you're watching through YouTube, assuming some folks are watching through YouTube, or Facebook. I'm assuming folks are watching through Facebook as well. Is that right? Awesome. We get any hellos or comments in there
Christy
yet?
says she's here.
Hey, Christy.
Rob Barnes says hello, good evening.
What's up, Rob? Good evening.
Rob says sharing is
Thank you.
caring.
Sharing is caring.
Catherine says hi, folks.
Hey, Catherine.
Mike Kincaid says evening, everyone.
Evening indeed, Michael.
And then I had said that we're getting some kinks worked out. Stay with us. Tell me
Yeah.
what you're reading in the meantime.
Oh, yeah. Tell us what they're reading. What you're reading. What are
Rob
they
is reading
reading?
Jeremiah 17:7.
Okay. 17:7. I got my Bible out, my trusty, my what do I even call it? My okay, yes, that. Jeremiah 17:7. Is that right? So, and I can't hear anything in these, by the way. I don't know if I should be able to yet or not. Um, you, oh, is it going to be on there, you think? Okay. Um, or is any sound going to be coming through any of our stuff?
Plug it
Like,
in.
yeah, but we normally don't hear anything while we're going, right?
Do you have your volume up?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah, but I'm not like watching it on there. This is just recording. Sorry, folks. Not only are you seeing how the sausage is made, you are seeing the sausage being made.
Yeah, but you should still be able to hear it.
Nah,
Because I
it's
can.
not. I can hear that, but then that's going to create like a loop of feedback, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe.
Give me 2 seconds.
So we
What
got
earbuds are
17
those?
7, huh?
What earbuds are those? What are they called?
Something's.
Galaxy?
No,
RP?
no.
Soundcore Liberty? Tozo?
Liberty Pro 2, yeah.
Those?
Yeah, those guys. Although it's probably connected to this, we're probably gonna have to disconnect to that first, from that first. So
Rob can hear you.
huh?
Go ahead. They can hear you.
Okay.
You just can't
So
hear yet.
Jeremiah 17:7 is the passage, right? Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose trust is the Lord. I like it. I like it. So I have been reading this book, which we've been giving to folks the last couple of Sundays. Rediscover Church: Why the Body of Christ is Essential by Mr. Colin Hanson and Mr. Jonathan Lehman. I guess I could have said Misters Colin Hanson and Jonathan Lehman, but I've been enjoying it. A little over 2/3 of the way done with the book, and I've been enjoying it. It's been, oh, there we go. Can I hear myself now?
I don't know, can you?
I can hear you, yes.
Can you hear you?
I can, and I can also hear like all the rattling of that I was causing. Sorry about that, folks.
Do you mean to mute it?
It's really weird hearing myself in an echo.
Do you mean to mute it until you're talking?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So we got a very special thing in store for you tonight.
that we're that is that is part of my frazzledness. Also, part of my frazzledness is just kind of running late tonight. We had Aiden and a neighbor friend playing chess at the local library, and so I sat there and I did some reading, and they played some chessage, some major chessage, and then we were running a little bit late coming in, and so sorry about the delay, but we are ready to roll, I think. Any other comments about books or anything like that? Anybody share? No? In case you haven't heard, or in case you've forgotten, the Braves are still world champions of baseball. They'll be that for another year, or as sounds back.
Yeah, I turned it on for you.
As head coach, manager Brian Snicker tells them aptly, they will be world champions for the rest of their lives. All right, so we're ready. Hey, there's Bob.
Hello.
Hey,
Can you
Bob,
hear me?
how are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. So those who are on this watching they probably recognize you. They probably saw you Sunday. Most of them maybe in person. Some of them, man, this delay it's weird hearing my own voice in my ears. So they know you, Bob. They've met you. Some of the folks joining us tonight, though, were not there Sunday. And so Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a conversation together.
All right.
We're gonna. I've got a couple of things I wanted to bring up about your sermon from Sunday, and we'll see kind of where that leads the conversation.
All right.
But then also, I want to allow everyone who's watching an opportunity to ask any questions that they have. I don't know if you're watching the live feed yourself and can see the questions, but either way, Lindsay's got them fielded here, and we're hoping that we don't get any trolls or bots throwing out some weird questions. She's really good at deleting those quickly.
Very stressful.
It is stressful. It is stressful. It's more stressful to her than it is to me. I get amused by it. But so folks, if you're wanting to ask Bob any questions, please let us know in the comments. Lindsay will throw those up there, and we'll tackle them in due order. How does that sound, Bob?
Sounds great. I want to say before we start, I want to say hi to, there are several people at the church that I was talking and they got away and I did not get to see them. Some people that I have known for many years, especially Catherine and some others that I wish we had more time, and hopefully we can come back again soon.
Absolutely. I would love that. I know. So those who maybe are wondering, well, who's this other guy that I'm looking at on my screen? Bob Wood is our missionary to Honduras. And it's weird, Bob, calling you a missionary to Honduras because you're married to a Honduran. You've got Honduran children. You live there full time. You're not there part of the time in the States doing furlough or anything like that. I mean, you dove into the deep end of Honduras. Mm-hmm. Tell us maybe a little bit about that. What is life like for you as a missionary? And then we'll get into to some of the questions I wanted to ask.
Wow, broad question. What is life like as a missionary in Honduras? One of the major things is Honduras is a very poor country, tropical country, a country that's in the news because so many of our population wants to leave and go somewhere else, especially North America. The reason they want to leave is because Honduras, besides being poor, which it is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, it's usually Honduras or Haiti, depends on how the years go for each country. The other aspect, though, of Honduras and why people are trying to leave is because we have a gang problem and a crime problem. We have one of the highest murder rates in the world and the highest murder rate in the Western Hemisphere. So it's a country a little smaller than Georgia in area. About 9 million people, so it's not as densely populated as as Georgia, and people live in a very very humble residence. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but I'll let you just guide the questions.
Okay. Well, it was really interesting tonight when you and I were texting back and forth, and we were trying to make sure you were going to have electricity tonight.
Yep.
That you were going to be able to be on with us tonight.
Yep.
You mentioned, well, right now I'm stuck in traffic trying to get home.
Yes.
So, yeah, where had you been?
Okay. I was in the big city of La Ceiba. I was coming back. That's where we do our shopping for the most part, is in the big city, because it's a lot cheaper. But there were some protests and other things going on, so the road was blocked. So it took me 3 hours to go 13 miles. That's even bad by Atlanta standards, I think.
That's not good.
No, it's a lot of gas. So anyway, I was able to get. I left my office at. I have an office in La Ceiba too. I went by there because I hadn't been there in 3 weeks. Wanted to make sure everything was still there, and went by and left at 3:15 and got here at about 6:30. So.
Oh wow.
So just a few miles.
I've heard you talk about La Ceiba quite a bit.
Yes.
And most of us know that Honduras is in pretty continual political unrest, right?
Yes, it is.
And of course, you shared a little bit about gang violence and some of that political unrest on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
As a missionary in Honduras, are you under threat on a regular basis? Do you ever feel anxious for your life or your family?
That's a great question. There are times when we do and times when we don't. In this community, everyone knows us. We walk around at night, go house to house. This is our neighborhood. We live in the midst of where we serve. When we're in other cities, though, of course we are concerned. So I was robbed at one point and broke my arms about 12 years ago. I was in La Ceiba, but nobody knew me necessarily. I was just a victim of a crime. So Honduras is dangerous, but it's really more of Honduran on Honduran crime. Okay, it's gang on gang. There's virtually no crime against tourists. Little crime against Americans. So it's not. I want you to understand that that's not a big concern. Now when we are carrying the payroll for our teachers, in cash, yes, we take a bodyguard and we have that kind of thing. But Honduras is so different than and I really realized that more when I went back to the United States the last few weeks. Everywhere we go, there are guards, armed guards. We go to McDonald's, there are armed guards. We go to the bank, there's armed guards. Everywhere we go to the mall, there's armed guards every about 20 yards. So it's a different kind of environment than Atlanta. So we actually feel better when we see the guards.
Obviously we don't see, at least I don't see armed guards everywhere I go, but I do see police officers all over the place. They're normally not patrolling, standing guard at a place. So
right.
How different? Yeah. Are there police as well as the armed guards, or are the police essentially the armed guards, or the armed guards?
Yeah, they're totally different things. The police, the police come when there's a crime, but they don't do any crime prevention. Okay, if I could tell a story.
Oh yeah.
Years ago, right after Rose and I got married, we were actually working on one of the islands, and we lived there on the island in a parsonage for the Methodist Church. And there was a man who was a drug addict, crazy guy, with all sympathy we have for him, but that was his life. And he decided he wanted to be in our backyard naked. And and living by the shed, sleeping by the shed. He didn't want us to help him. He just wanted to be there, left alone, naked. So, it was a little uncomfortable for Rosa, especially because he kept messing with the clothes on the line. So, we wanted him to get some help and some treatment. We couldn't do it because he was kind of violent. So we called the police and said, we really need you to come help us with this situation. They came 2 days later. So he was gone by then. So that's kind of a typical Honduras thing. If you're having some kind of crime go on, the police aren't going to protect you and they're not going to help you. And so many of them work with the gangs and the the people who are transporting drugs through the country. And that's why we're a narco state. The police really, it's hard to say I trust a police officer because I really don't. The reason that we're in this situation, one of the reasons, is police officers are paid so little. They're paid somewhere between $350 and $400 a month. So for a narco trafficker and a gangster, it's easy to buy a whole lot of police officers. So
gotcha.
I don't know if that helps you a little bit in understanding our situation. So people hire private guards for their businesses. Okay, we have one at the school. Okay, we have two. We have one at night and one in the day. Now, why? Well, that's so people don't steal the computers and everything that's in the school. So if we didn't have a guard,
and you said these are armed guards, right?
Absolutely.
So how does?
There's no regulation if that's what you're going to ask.
What? So tease that out a little bit. Obviously, you're not walking around with a 9mm on you.
I have no weapons.
You're not packing heat.
I have nothing.
You do have guards who are packing heat.
We do have guards at the school that do. Yes. Okay. What are we afraid of? Well, at night we're afraid of the school being robbed, burglarized, and during the day we don't want to be visited by someone like a rival gang member who would come in and ask for extortion money.
Got you. So, but you said there's no regulation of the guards. Is that right?
No.
So if somebody shows up at school, and what is the guard legally allowed to do? I mean,
well, that's there. All right. Oh man,
Bob,
you're getting into some you're getting into some serious stuff. You need to understand how cheap life is here.
Okay.
The penalty for shooting someone who is committing a crime is you have to pay a fine of $500. That's it.
Wow. No jail time.
No jail time. Now, if you do a murder, that means you're going out to try to kill somebody. That's a little different story. But if someone is committing a crime, you just pay. Essentially, you're paying for the funeral. It's what the $500 goes for. Okay, it goes to the family. 10,000 lempiras. Actually, with the new exchange rate, it's less than $500. So, and that's the same. All right, let's say, Adam. I hope our audience doesn't mind this kind of talk, but
and I please know I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm asking honest questions.
Those are great questions.
Okay.
So let's say I'm driving down the road and a child walks out in front of me and I hit them. What's the penalty for that? $500.
Wow.
Okay, that's because life is cheap. It's not valued.
Wow.
Okay. And that goes along with the story I told you about the little girl who was raped. I believe I shared that with y'all on Sunday from our school by a 34-year-old family member. The police just don't care because life doesn't
matter. And the
family
member was in part of y'all's community. Y'all knew him.
Yes.
You had to cross paths with him.
Yes.
After the fact, and yeah.
He's not here now, but yes. That was almost 2.5 years, almost 3 years ago now. She was that's 2 years. She was in 3rd grade. She's now in 5th grade.
Well, let me remind those who are with us any questions that you have, please share them in the comments, and we'll try to get those on the screen and also get Bob to address them. But I want to ask you something, Bob, that may sound like a completely different subject, but I think it's actually really related.
Okay.
So last week when we were talking about the service, this is maybe Thursday or Friday, I don't remember. You mentioned something that sounded so counterintuitive and yet it rang of truth. You said something to the effect of the key to being a missionary is holiness.
Yes.
Did I get that right? I don't want
Yes.
to misquote you, and I don't want to mislead our folks.
That is correct.
So tell me, what is the connection between missions or missiology and holiness?
The connection is this: if you're going to have credibility with people, they want to see God in you. And the way they see God in you is by you living a life that is holy and worthy of the gospel. And I don't know if I should tell this, but okay. As they see your, I'm not going to tell the story I was going to tell.
Okay.
Sorry. Because as they see the holiness in you as you're a missionary, whether you're a missionary in Atlanta or you're a missionary in Honduras, that's the key. That's what people are looking for. And Adam, I can prove it to you by this. They're shooting guns outside. I don't know if you hear it.
I do. I didn't realize those were guns.
Yes.
Everyone's
anyway,
safe though, right?
Yeah, it's not. They're shooting up in the air.
Okay.
It's somebody's birthday, probably.
It's Lindsay's birthday.
Oh, that's it, I guess. Yeah, Lindsay, they didn't know it was your birthday.
Guns.
So, anyway, when people seek gurus because they're trying to find a way to holiness and happiness, and what we want to show them is the holiness of God in us, because people have a natural inclination, I believe. It's been corrupted by sin, okay? But they were created by God to be holy, to be in the image of God, to represent God to the world. Then the fall happened, and we got our holiness marred by sin. But when we have what Wesley has taught, and what Jesus taught, what John taught when he said, "Walk even as Jesus walked." Peter, John said, God is light. Those who walk in darkness cannot say they are children of God. When we have the light, we draw people to us. What we do in our ministry is not as important as who we are in Christ. And if you look at, I'll give you one more passage. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the very famous love passage. We can do all these things, but without love, which is what holiness is, it's God's love through us and our love for him. Without love, we're nothing.
And that love is what we mean by holiness, essentially.
Absolutely. Love is holiness. Holiness is love. Because, I didn't go through in the sermon, I wanted to, but I got telling stories. When you go through the first epistle of John, the first letter of John, he's constantly talking about being in the light, walking in the light. And he also says, now that's not saying we've never sinned or we don't sin. But holiness is not walking in sin. It's walking in the light.
Yeah, I was looking this evening as I was sitting at the library back at the passage that you preached from this past Sunday,
right.
1 John 1, 5 through 10.
Yeah.
And I like how you've tied that to 1 Corinthians 13. That's another thing that's a connection that we don't often make, I think, and if we're not careful, we'll miss it. But I think the connection is perfectly appropriate with the big picture of Scripture in mind.
Right. When
Often we think of holiness strictly in negative terms.
exactly. I don't do this. I don't do that.
Non-contamination. Yes, it's not. I don't sin. I don't do this. I don't do that other thing. I keep myself separate. And we think of love often as kind of a positive.
Right. But when we define God, we define him as what? God is love, and God is holy. We're taught to love and be holy, and I think they're synonymous. I mean, the words might not be, but the biblical idea is.
Well, even when Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, echoing or harmonizing, if you will, with the Old Testament called "Be ye holy, for I am holy."
Exactly.
He says, "You must be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." And what's the context? He's talking about loving even our enemies.
Yeah.
Even those who are a threat to us, who hate us, who despise us and use us, who extort us.
Right. You can't be a missionary and be effective. Now there are a lot of missionaries who are not, but you can't be effective and not love the people and I mean deeply love them as God does, to the point where you're willing to die for that individual and for their relationship with God. Your holiness needs to be like this, that when you pass, and we can think of several examples from history, but when you pass by people, they should sense the presence of God in you as you pass.
What do you mean?
For example,
sense the presence? Okay, give us that example.
For example, that they sense your love for them. They sense God's love in you. Okay? It needs to be so obvious that it can be felt. I don't know how to explain that really well.
It's one of those things that I think we know it when we see it.
Right.
In our own lives, we've known when we've been with someone who truly loves us and doesn't just pay lip service to, well, of course I love you because you're a person.
And Adam, you were really young to know Mark Luthold, but since some of your audience is a little older, at least for me, I sensed in Mark Luthold that he loves people deeply. It was a deep emotional and spiritual love, that he really cared for the person he was talking to, whether it was the homeless man at the bus station or the wealthy person that was a member of his congregation, that he really truly cared about deeply. And that's kind of what I'm trying to point to.
Well, I know he made an impact on my dad in particular, but our family, I mean, I was little, but I remember it rocked our family when he died.
Yeah.
So much so that I actually donated some Gideon Bibles in his honor. I don't think I would have met him at like an annual meeting, but I would have been really little.
You would have been young.
Yeah, I would have been young. But that is the one thing that I've always heard about him.
Yeah.
Is his love for people and how it wasn't something that he wore on his sleeve. It just exuded from his life. The way he interacted with people, the way he gave them the dignity of being present to them and caring and making them sing and sacrifice.
Yes. The when you read about desert fathers, things like those, I know we're getting off into the weeds here. You'll see examples mentioned of what I'm talking about, a person who exudes the love of God that others sensed. I think I'm losing connection.
I hear you just fine, but the
Okay, good.
phone's making some really weird noise. So hopefully everybody's hearing you just fine. Folks, feel free to ask any questions or make any comments.
God bless you, sir. I pray for you and safety of your family.
Do you hear that? Did you put that up there too, just interrupt you, get a little screen time?
Yes, I did.
But I like to throw some peanuts at the commenters.
He says he can't hear.
Who can't?
Type it in the chat, and maybe I can answer it from that point. I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything.
You think you got it fixed now?
Oh,
I can hear you now.
Hey, she fixed it.
Okay.
Huh?
your phone's dying.
Oh, okay. My phone is dying. Our wonderful producer, Miss Lindsay Jane, whose birthday is today, she's getting it fixed. Or got it fixed. We had to go with a different camera. So, Bob, I do have another question I wanted to ask you.
Yes, sir.
So you said Sunday that we're all called to be missionaries, and you also said something that echoed or maybe harmonized with Wesley. My mission field consists of the people the Lord has placed in my life, and I'm sure you said it so much better than that. But it reminded me when you said it. It reminded me that Wesley said that my neighbor is essentially two people.
Right.
The person before me and the next person I meet.
Right.
And what that always does for me is it kind of grounds me in this idea of neighbor, because it's so easy for us to think about, loving all the people in the whole world, and you love everyone generally, but you love no one specifically.
Right.
You love, the idea of people, but not the hard realities of this guy that I'm having to interact with.
Right.
So how does that relate to missions, and how does that relate to holiness in your mind?
Well, it relates to missions because we're going to a location that there is some need. Everywhere we go, there is a need. And when I mean we, I mean you and me and our audience, whether it's Walmart, whether it's in your family, there are people who are lost and need to be saved. And the problem is, in North America, everybody looks so clean and good. But they're not. They have a need in their heart that needs to be filled by God. And if you're not going to present it, who will?
I was
You're
reading
called to be the ambassador.
Mm-hmm. I was reading a book for Dr. Friedman, a course, Holistic Churches, something to that effect. That's what the course is titled. But it was a book it's on missiology and helping the poor, and helping missiology in general, but helping the poor in particular. It's called When Helping Hurts. You might have heard of it. You might have actually read it.
I have not
But
read that.
One of the points that they make is that is that when we are going to care for the poor, we got to keep in mind that we ourselves are poor. We may have all the money we'll ever need in life.
Right.
We may have pantries that are stocked with food, but we have to understand that poverty presents itself in a variety of ways.
Sure.
Some of us are emotionally poor, relationally poor, spiritually poor. And so poverty does present itself in a variety of ways. And you're right. It's easy here in Cobb County to ride up the road and think, yeah, all these people are living their best life and they're
Right.
doing quite well. And it shocks us maybe when we're confronted with the relational, emotional poverty of
Right.
our neighbors and whatnot.
Very good. The realization that everyone needs is a critical aspect. And part of being a missionary, though, is to recognize that you need.
Yeah.
It makes the relationship possible with those who are in need.
And it makes it symbiotic.
Yeah.
I'm not their Santa Claus. I'm here to do everything because I can. I'm in a place of power, and you're the one that needs me.
And
it doesn't foster that codependent relationship. What?
Right. That won't be effective. If you come at it from that angle, you will not be effective. The need is to open up to them about your needs and let them minister to you at the same time you're ministering to them.
It sounds like holiness has to be transparent.
It does.
And not in like a cliched way, but it has to be approachable.
Absolutely. And that's where the holiness movement went wrong in history. Okay. It was the negatives. Okay, so I'm going to, when I say negatives, I mean I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to dance, I'm not going to do. So when we have these negatives, then we can fix all the negatives and look holy and still be rotten on the inside. And the world recognizes that. But when we open up that we're in need of love and we're here to share love at the same time, then we can have relationships that can change lives.
So I don't know that I've ever made this connection before. You talking about the holiness movement, and look, I'm a part of it. You're a part of it. Sure. I believe in holiness, but I've often heard it characterized as Pharisaism,
right?
And I've always taken great umbrage to that accusation.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the connection is, if our holiness is only negative,
right.
It does sound an awful lot like Pharisaism.
Absolutely. And it's not appealing.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't recognize there's things that a holy life should not contain. I'm not saying that. But the approach needs to be love. Love for God. Love for God changes what I do and what I don't do. But first, I need the relationship. Let's say a young man met a young woman and fell in love with her, and she doesn't like beard. Okay, are you going to keep the beard if this person loves you and you love them? No, of course not. You change yourself, not changing who you are, but changing the things that are keeping you from having a better relationship with the person that you love. Yeah. And when God is the person that you love, it's very easy to leave behind the things that are interfering with that relationship.
I know that you can get into a lot of dangerous territory in this, but I do deal in the provocative. I'm a bit of a provocateur, and love, holy love. It seems it does accommodate itself, and I say it not to depersonalize the triune God, the Holy One of Israel. He accommodates for the unholiness of Israel. He accommodates for the fallenness of Israel. He accommodates to their language. He accommodates to their abilities, even in the constructing of the tabernacle and all that. He's giving them things that they can do. He's making himself approachable because he wants to be with. He wants to be near.
Right.
He wants to tabernacle in their midst.
Right, because when he was on the mountain, they didn't want to come any closer.
And he accommodated even by the veil
Absolutely.
over Moses' face. He accommodated Adam and Eve, really, in the garden by protecting them from the tree of life in their fallenness. We think of that as like a judgment in the negative sense, but it's also a judgment in the positive sense.
Would have been a disaster.
You can't come. It would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
It would have been a disaster, yes.
Because if I'm in a fallen state and I eat of the tree of life and there's no solution for me,
then what?
Then what?
Yeah.
Then what? But to go back to the original, when we love someone as a missionary, wherever you are, I'm not just talking about
all of us. Yeah.
All of us. When we love someone and a group of people, but we still love them as individuals in the group, then we can really explore what is separating them from Christ. We can't explore that without the love. It's just me preaching at them. And they might as well listen to the preacher in Honduras on the radio screaming at them.
It's just the clanging cymbal that Paul describes. It's just obnoxious.
That's 1 Corinthians 13. Yeah.
I hope we just tried something else on the sound, so hopefully that gets rid of some of the echoing and ringing that folks were hearing.
It is kind of confusing.
So any questions? We've gone a little bit, but Bob, I think the conversation has been not just fruitful, but I think it's been an important conversation. I really do think we're you and I here we're talking about things that are of eternal significance, but also of cultural significance, of ecclesial significance, for the sake of culture, for the sake of the church. It's important for us to think through these things and talk about them. And I've really enjoyed this.
And I have too. Do our listeners have any questions they would like to ask about anything?
I'm not seeing any that are coming through.
Okay.
Somebody sent a private chat. Lindsay's got this. Okay, good. Christy says that did help with the echoing. Thank you.
Okay. And just so everyone knows, I am a Tampa Bay Rays fan. So we won 100 games and then nothing. So.
And then got nothing from it.
Yep. Very disappointing.
Sorry to laugh at your disappointment.
That's all right.
It's all in good fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're not seeing any other questions come through.
Someone has been trying to get on camera. This is my son.
Hey, what is that? How are you?
Steven.
Do what?
This is my son, Steven. He's 9 years old.
Oh, 9 years old. Steven, I've got a boy who is 8 and a boy who is 10.
Wow.
So they're right. Y'all'd probably be buddies.
Yeah.
The 8-year-old is Topher and the 10-year-old is Ransom. They probably get along with you really well.
Probably so. They play Roblox. He loves Roblox.
They play Roblox. They don't play Roblox anymore. They do play Minecraft.
He plays Minecraft too.
Yeah. Nice. What's up?
All right, you can go. Now you've been on camera, so you're finished.
Well, Bob, this has been fun. I've really enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it too. I want to ask y'all to continue to keep us in prayer as we move towards the last Sunday of the month when we're going to have our elections. Things are heating up, as I'm afraid that they will be, and so we're getting ready to stock up on our supplies and everything to anticipate that we will be cut off from the rest of the country for a period of time. So,
when you say a period of time, do you have any guess? Are you preparing for like days, weeks, months?
Weeks to months. 6 weeks is what I'm anticipating. So we've already told the teachers not to come to school the day after the election and for a week after. as we
Okay.
anticipate what's going to happen. Just so you understand a little bit, when this stuff happens, they block the bridges on this one. We have one road. If you can imagine Atlanta with one road that goes from one end of the country to the other. There's 3 million people that live along it, and when they block the bridges, nothing can come through. No food,
Mm.
no. There's no go around kind of thing. There's just one road, 2 lanes
Wow.
that goes through the middle, and our school is right on that road. So that's
Well,
what we'll see.
one of our viewers, Rob Barnes, mentioned earlier that obviously God bless you, but he also promised to be praying for you and the safety of your family. And we want to reiterate what he said.
Thank you.
We are praying for you. We pray for you on a regular basis. And it's been really fun to do this tonight. It was really good to see you this weekend. It was great to spend some time together. It's been far too long.
I enjoyed it. Yes, it has been too long. Maybe we can do something again in either in the summer or late spring. I would love to come back. I had a great time. Great to be hosted by the Chandlers and to get to spend some time with getting to know the people at Faith. I had been to Faith a long time ago when David Lane was a pastor. A long time ago.
That was a bit ago.
And I hope that we can see each other again soon.
Definitely.
So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your fireside chat.
Oh yes.
And I didn't see the fireside tonight, but
well, we get the little bit of flame going on here with a little smoke.
There you go. Oh, there you're back.
Our living room is so dark.
Yes. Well, Bob, you have a great evening. Thank you so much for carving out some time to be with us.
My pleasure.
And we want you to know we love you. We are praying for you. Let's definitely keep in touch. You and I personally, but I think you're also on the church's Facebook group. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Any prayer requests? I want to urge you. Let us know how we can be praying. It is a private, closed group, and so only those who are allowed entry are able to see things that are posted there and whatnot.
Turn people down all the time.
Yeah, Lindsay's turning down folks all the time. She said, "No, reject."
I understand.
Yes.
Well, tell Lindsay thank you for her technical expertise in making this all possible.
All right. Well, you have a good one, Bob.
You too.
Give our best to your family, okay?
I will. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. All right, folks. This has been fun. Y'all have a wonderful week. Blessings.